When you look at the piracy issue, which is absolutely at the top of the list for what we need from you in Washington, the ability to enforce the rules. We have come to play in the game of life, in the business of sport, in all of business through Connect, because we like winning. We're also willing to play fair. But right now, this piracy issue is absolutely killing us. There are $600 billion in losses across our entire country in theft and piracy and patent infringement and trademark infringement and all the things that you here in Washington can address. And we need that. And so the biggest threats, companies like Nike and Callaway, the real big boys, you look at this shoe on the left, that's a real Nike shoe. The one on the right is the fake one, most likely coming from China. It's China today, but where's it going next? Because as China will develop innovation of their own and start realizing the value of intellectual property, they will have to start cracking down to develop their own economy. Because piracy and criminal theft cannot stand if we're going to be able to grow through. But when you look at how close these are, just the slight differences, the tilt up at the top, a little bit of a altered logo, and then the stitching down where the sole meets the shoe. It looks real, but the loss. And the loss not only of value to Nike or to Callaway, but also the credibility, the integrity. Over time, you learn that really what you have in life is health and your family. After you have those, then you have your integrity and your credibility. And this whole issue of piracy comes right to that. And with Callaway, their vice president, he talks about the confidence that is damaged and destroyed really when a customer, a consumer, purchases something that's fake and he thinks is real. Now on the left, you have a Callaway driver with an altered logo, with some changed and substandard material, and then the surface head of this club, it just doesn't get the job done. And the pirated costs to the U.S. manufacturers, $6.5 billion a year in piracy alone. Now Vans, one of our incredibly important members of our Sport Innovators clusters. This is a huge $1 billion a year company that is growing at 20% a year. And they admit that 50% of the product out there is counterfeit in their world, and they're still growing at 20% a year. So we're talking about real problems here. And what we're asking the Congress to do is to protect our intellectual property, because this is what is truly of value here. And while the biggest threat to our major players, and imagine if the big guys are having such trouble, Nike and Callaway and Vans and VF and Billabong and Oakley and Hurley and Reef and all these huge companies are having problems. Imagine what the startup guys are having, who have no help. And so that's why we're here today, and we need people like Ron Kirk and Victoria Espinel to have Congress's full support so that they can get the funding and implement the enforcement that has to take place and stop this theft, stop this piracy right now. The next story, the next reason why we're here, the access to capital. Angel investors are the lifeblood to innovation. These are the family friends, these are the small investors who will come in with checks, $5,000, $10,000, up to $100,000 to get a dream off the ground. Our businesses started garages. Our businesses are started with guys in the sports world, of guys who are the least educated. But they're willing to work hard, and they need these angel investors. Our world in sports innovators is not about the venture capitalists. We're not there yet. Down the line, once these angels are able to come in and take over, then we have real chance. So we're asking you to not raise the angel investment standards. And with the Wall Street Reform Act that just was passed this summer, the Dodd Bill. There was significant efforts to try to raise these standards, and that would take away the pool availability of who could be an angel investor to drive the innovation that's coming out of San Diego. Then the SBA. Bob Reef, member of our board of directors, former president of Reef, sport clothing company in San Diego, does all kinds of great stuff. He's quoted and tells us regularly that SBA loans are the loans, it's the money of last resort. The SBA has to be more helpful. These rules and regulations from the SBA, they were written 50 years ago. 50 years ago, when you had hard assets and manufacturing and everything, those times have changed. And we need the regulations and the guarantee rules that the SBA is going to step in and support the banks so that our guys can get the loans. We need those regulations to be based on ideas and on dreams and on these startup companies. So we are asking the Congress to instruct the SBA to work with us to develop new guidelines for those lending possibilities. Now the workforce, the third tier. Got the access to capital, and we have the IP and patents and trademarks, but now we're on the team and the players. Now, just imagine if you would, the Lakers not having Pau Gasol because he couldn't get a visa. We need homegrown talent, but that's going to require incredible commitment, the education, and the political level to develop scientists, technology guys, engineers, and mathematicians. Right now, China is graduating 500,000 engineers every year. Our country is graduating 150,000. By sheer numbers alone, they're going to overwhelm us. Even if we do everything we possibly can, it's still going to take quite a while to get our young children up to that level, to where they're able to compete on the international and global level that the world has become. So until then, we need not immigration reform, but job reform. So we have two issues here that we're talking. One is the Staple Act over in the House. We were there this morning, 1791, and then the Startup Visa Act, Senate Bill 3029. Now, the Staple Act, that allows the students who are coming here to study and to get their graduate degrees, that if they have a job, they don't have to get kicked out right away and go back. These are not immigration issues, these are job issues, and that's how we are asking you to look at it. The Startup Visa Act, that is something that will allow brilliant entrepreneurs who have relationships, financial ties, and support from local U.S. money to come into our country and start companies, business, jobs, which is what this is all about. Now, when you think of how you build those teams, when you think of all the steps that go into it, yes, you need the foundation. Yes, you need the players, but you also need the leadership. You need the coaches, the executives, the dreamers, the guys who are going to be able to make it happen at the top. And when you have a situation, an opportunity in your life, like I have, where you have a second chance, where you have an opportunity to come and play one more time, your life is never really the same again. And so I have learned over time that the driving emotional forces, why I'm here, I don't get paid for this. I do this because I love San Diego, I have children, I love our country, and I want a better life for them. Those two driving emotions in my life are pride and loyalty. Pride is satisfaction with your choices, and loyalty. Just look where Coach Wood put loyalty in that pyramid of success, the foundation, right in the middle, on the bottom rung. Without it, everything just crumbles. And loyalty, defined as the human attribute and personal characteristics that allows people to achieve extraordinary things because we care. I care. That's why I'm here today. That's why I'm here to ask you the overarching reason and umbrella of my ask. And that is for the support of the innovation economy. Not only in San Diego, but throughout, because we have to be proactive. We have to think, we have to dream, we have to realize, because that's what the great leaders, that's what John Wood, that's what Tchaikovsky, that's what Larry Bird, that's what Dwayne Law, that's what they do. They dream about what's next. Don't wait for that ball to come and fall in your lap. And with the choices that you make in your life, with the sacrifices that are necessary to get to that top, you have to realize that there are steps along the way. And even the great ones, even the great John Wood, who was 27 years at UCLA, 27 years. First 15 years, didn't win a thing, couldn't get it done. There was just one transformational day. He was in his office, desk full of shoes, socks, schedules, budgets, you name it, just all kinds of junk and clutter on his desk. And a brand new athletic director, J.D. Morgan, just hired him after a lifetime as a student, as a coach, and all kinds of other positions at UCLA. He gets named to be the athletic director. He walks into the coach's office this day after 15 years of working on the job. He looked at Coach, who was hunched over the table and working on all this stuff, and said, "What are you doing, Coach? You're the coach of this team. What's all this stuff?" He said, "Oh, this is the schedule, this is the budget, this is the travel, this is the number of shoes we've got." J.D. Morgan, in his first year, his first day in the job, he looked at the coach and said, "This is not your job. Your job is to teach. Your job is to inspire. Your job is to get people to become better than they are by themselves." So J.D. picked up all this stuff and just threw it out in the hall, kicked it out the door. And then he looked at the coach and said, "You make them great, and I'll take care of the rest of the stuff." And so, as we move forward, as we get to that point where it's time to move forward, I think of my own children, who are now 34, 32, 30, 28. One of them, a teammate of Nat Hoops in the back. Nat Hoops may be the most perfect basketball name ever. But here they are, trying to figure it out, trying to get to their dreams. We have let our children down. We have not provided them the same chance, the same opportunities that we were given by our college. And that's why I'm here today. Because there's nothing greater in life as a parent, as a corporate leader, as a senator, as a person with real power and ability to make a difference in life. To be there when your children, when your employees, when your companies, when your families, when your communities are succeeding. And at the end of that day, whether it's the prom, whether it's at the school play, whether it's a big game, whatever it is, and that child who knows you're there in the audience and you're cheering them on and you're so supportive, you're just driving them and you're encouraging them. And at the end of the game, they come over to you, they put their hands up to you, and they say, "Dad, thanks for coming." I want more than thanks for coming from my children. I've been there. We have created a health crisis in this country, an environmental devastation and destruction situation that are no longer sustainable. We also have